Hey everybody, it's another episode of Podcasting Over PSP.
It's another episode of the show you're not watching, but you should be.
Yeah.
Trademarked.
The one where we have probably more episodes recorded and unreleased than the number that are released by this point.
Oh, you really think so?
No, I'm joking.
I'm
but I
sure
think we
there's
have
only
like 4.
2. No, I don't think there's that
2.
many.
There's at least 3.
Really?
I mean, if we're including this one, there's 3 or 4. Either one of those 2.
Okay. Well, I wasn't including this one.
Well, in any case, we're here. We are here to discuss. We've got fire in our veins, you know. I joked somewhat. We'll call it a joke in the 2 weeks review.
It's never a joke.
That that Podcasting Over PSP had replaced the Whirling Dervish just because of the fact that like the only things I've had to whirl about have been things that have like come out of this. Like there's been, I guess. This comparison won't make as much sense to people who haven't heard the episodes that haven't come out yet, you know, because that's really where it's the last couple episodes are where this has slowly become the Whirling Dervish.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the one where it was just you stroking your dick about writing for your
that
whole
one is
life,
not.
you're gonna be like, oh, this is not the Whirling Dervish.
Yeah, but if you listen to the one where I was ranting about how the boomers need to die out because they fucked up the internet or whatever, that one a little bit more.
Yeah.
And this one a little bit more because we have something, and this, you know, it even crossed my mind that I could have just dervished about this by myself, but it wouldn't have made as much sense because it's about you. So we're just going to jump right in because I've been excited. I'm excited to talk about it.
You've been ready.
So tell me about your Halloween costume.
All right, so I do not want to spend a lot of money on my costume, but I want to make a lot of impact, right?
Yeah.
I want to have something that's like memorable and fun that I can share on social media.
And topical, incidental.
And very topical. And like my favorite meme online is Greta Thunberg. Like, I'm sorry that offends some people, but I wanted to...
She is a living meme. Like,
yes.
One way or another, whether you completely love her and take everything she says seriously, it does not change the fact that she is a living meme.
It does not change the fact that her mother touts that she has superpowers from her autism that she
allow
can
her to
see the ozone layer.
Yeah. That's literally a thing.
OP, so...
There's also just all the little fun facts, like the fact that she had this event where she had to fly a bunch of people out on private jets, and people were saying that like that one event that she put on did more damage to the environment than any person would ever do in their life, like individually.
Or her Rolex ad.
She's also in a Rolex ad, even though Rolex has been responsible for environmental degradation in themselves. Just generally, she's a bit of a meme. And you thought it would be really funny to dress as her for Halloween because it'd be easy.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't resist. Like, you know, I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Uh-huh.
I want to dress up like a 16-year-old. That'd be fun.
Well, here's the thing.
I did this expecting to get heat. Like, I wasn't expecting people to 100% be okay with it.
Well, we have to completely describe the costume first, because here's the thing. If you're going to dress as Greta Thunberg, which I love the idea because I'm big into cosplaying something that's recent and relevant and unique enough that you don't think other people are going to do it, right?
Right.
Like, like when I choose songs for like Otakon karaoke, for instance, I always want to choose a song that came out that year, like from a new show, that like I really am interested in personally that I don't think everybody else is going to be singing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Although that's really incidental to the fact that I just don't tend to like the songs that everybody tends to be singing. But like, so Greta Thunberg, perfect idea for a costume. But how do you communicate that you are Greta Thunberg? She's just a regular looking person. She has a somewhat distinct look. There's a few famous photographs. But if you really want to communicate that it's her, not only do you need to copy a specific look she's had, but you need the sign. You have to have some kind of climate sign because...
That's in all of the pictures, and that's like, you'll be able to communicate what the purpose of this costume is and like the message.
Right. And if you're going to have a sign... And
it's cheap. I mean, like, it's a prop that we have a ton of poster board at home because you used it to make set pieces. And, I have markers, so that's like a free thing that I can make very fast.
And
the cheapness is like, the fact that I could make this costume and be very thrifty and creative was kind of like why I wanted to do it.
I think it's super mega creative.
Because like, you know, the hairstyle is like she always has her hair in braids. And like, I just took a picture of her that's like, you know, one of my favorite pictures of her, it's just her with the sign. And she's like, you know, there's one where she's like sitting down and she's like, you know, looks all angry and stuff. And there's another one of her standing up. But like, she has on this like blue hoodie that she like has worn in a lot of photographs.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to copy that look so, you know, I can put my hair in pigtails. I was kind of excited to do it, too, because my hair is finally long enough to get to that point. And it's a cute hairstyle, and it's fun. Yeah, and I just bought, like, a $15 raincoat on Amazon.
Very easy to do.
Yeah.
And, but, like, if you're going to have a sign...
$15 ever spent.
If you're going to have a sign... Obviously, you should write something funny on the sign.
Right.
Because it's. I mean, you could just write exactly what she wrote on her sign, but, like, you know, there's nothing creative about that. You would just literally be her. It's funnier if you write something different that's original and a good joke. So, what did you write on your sign?
I changed it because her sign is in Swedish, and I'm sure if you saw the sign, you would understand because it's in Swedish. You would understand who she is.
Right.
But I changed it to suck cock for climate or whatever.
Climatet, which is how they spell climate,
yes.
I guess.
But I, you know, put the O in cock, I put an umlaut on top of it.
Yeah, so it's suck
you know, dick, suck dick didn't work. There's no O. No. So I had to go with the word of O.
Suck cock for
it just
climate.
worked. And it also kind of looks like the word on the sign originally, so I just thought it'd be funny.
So, first of all, let me tell you why I love that particular message so much. Because it's simultaneously very funny because it says suck cock for climate. It also implies a certain sluttiness to the costume.
Even though the costume itself is not slutty.
Right. Well, like, you know, because for anybody who doesn't know American culture, because I know that Halloween's not a big deal all over the world, what Halloween is in America is if you're a kid... You dress up in a costume and you go house to house and you get candy from people.
I mean, they don't even go house to house anymore. A lot of kids will just, like, go to the mall and do, like, you know,
weird little
scheduled,
controlled...
like, yeah.
Even though there's never been any actual record of, like, anything bad happening to kids
on Halloween. Oh, no, it's
Halloween.
just the media inflating our fear in our neighbors, so we don't trust anybody or anything.
But, yeah, that's what kids do. But as adults... You still want to put on a costume, because everybody wants to wear costumes. It's fun and cool.
Especially if you're,
you never have excuses
like us.
Right. So what people do is they put on these big Halloween parties where everybody dresses in costumes. Now, if you're a girl dressing in a costume to go to a drinking party, you're probably going to wear a slutty-ass costume. This is well-documented stuff. We all know this. This is the culture of America. You dress in slutty costumes to go to Halloween parties.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even... I don't think it makes you a slut to have, like, a risque Halloween costume on, because it's kind of just, like, you're going to a party in the first place.
But the funny thing about it is that most of the time, what people do is they wear these, like...
Most of the time,
very
like,
slutty versions of existing characters.
They'll just wear lingerie and put on a hat and call it a costume. Like...
Yeah, there's a lot of... But, like, so with this costume, part of the idea is that it's supposed to be, like... a slutty Greta Thunberg cosplay. But, like, it's not really a slutty outfit. It's only what's implied by the sign, that you will suck cock for climate, right? Mm-hmm. But what I love about it is that it is a pro-climate message on the board. That, like, it's not making fun.
It's extreme, dude.
Yeah, if anything, I mean, I could easily imagine a real climate activist carrying a sign that says suck cock for climate, like will suck cock for climate, you know?
I mean, like, that is like a movement. There's like lots of like women who are protesting who like try to sexualize the protests.
Constantly. Like you always see like lists of the funniest protest signs and it's always like, you know.
I mean, we have the slut walk, like.
Yeah. So like to me, it's like this is the most perfect execution of this imaginable, of this joke, you know, because it can appeal to anybody because it's not necessarily making fun of Greta Thunberg. Like it's, you know, the message of the sign is pro-climate. If I had seen, like, if I didn't know you and I had seen somebody wearing that costume, I would not have assumed in any way it was meant to make fun of Greta Thunberg.
No.
Like, no, I would not have thought so at all. I would have thought it was completely sincere.
When people tend to, like, dress up as real figures, it usually is like, you know, a political jab. Like, if I saw it, I would assume that it was just, you know, a 4chaner or something.
I wouldn't have. I would have just straight up assumed it was sincere. Because I've seen so many signs like that at real protests, you know?
Right.
That say things exactly like it. So I think it's fucking hilarious. But I also knew that because it is you, and the only people who are going to see this is going to be our audience, they know that you are making fun of Greta Thunberg on some level. You know, even if it is, I consider it celebratory to dress as somebody, you know,
I mean,
celebratory of their existence.
To make a joke is not the same as to bully somebody. Like, I want that to be very clear that, like, this message was not, I was not sending this to Greta Thunberg. I was not trying to, like, get people to, like, you know, dismiss her cause or, like, you know, encourage hate speech.
Right.
It was just supposed to be, like, fun. And, like, I did it with the foresight that it would upset people.
Oh, yeah. Like, we're going to get into
But I didn't go out on the streets. It was just, like, at my house. Like.
Yeah, why are we talking about this? Because I expected the reaction of people being like, it's not, you know, climate change is very serious and you shouldn't joke about it. What I did not expect is the people who were upset about you sexualizing a teen, or a kid, as they always say. They insist on a child. Sexualizing a child with your costume, which is the dumbest shit I have ever fucking heard. I am so unbelievably, confused and enraged.
I was somewhat surprised to see these, like, criticisms be so prominent, but I was not surprised that they existed or that they would target me in particular, somebody who is known for defending
Lolicon.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the only reason, like, if that's where it's really coming from at the root, but, like, do you want to start getting into us? We're going to respond to all these tweets.
Okay, some background information, because originally, you know, this tweet was contained mainly to my audience, like, some people retweeted it, but there was this massive response tweet to Crowder, I think. It was Steven Crowder, right? The guy who got in trouble and kicked off YouTube for fucking whatever the shit.
Like a white supremacist
he had
or something.
Tweeted, like, best Halloween
Nazi
costume
boy.
and had a poll, and it was like sexy AOC, sexy Trump, something else, and sexy Greta Thunberg. And he got bashed for, like, even alluding to a sexy Greta Thunberg. He had to, like, delete his tweet, but somebody had screen capped it, and
when you can get Steven Crowder to delete a tweet, you must be real fucking offended.
Yeah, well, he deleted his tweet. Maybe just Twitter took it down. I don't really know. Like, there was no information further that I could see. I didn't do a lot of research on this. Obviously, it doesn't really fucking matter. But if somebody had retweeted a picture of me, you know, it's one of my followers who thought the joke was funny, but they just retweeted the picture of me, and that's where I started getting a lot of hate. Is from the fact that this picture, like,
ended up in someone else's circle.
And it's not like it really, you know, was that popular. Like, not a lot of people saw it, but just enough people saw it.
Right.
To, you know, start injecting chaos. But, you know, originally it went up. There was, like, a couple people who were like, oh, this is in bad taste. And it's like, okay, well, you know, you're entitled to think that it's in bad taste.
You're
like,
just stupid for thinking so. You're a fucking moron.
So are we going to go over the comments?
Yeah, just read them.
First comment. Is this a Sans cosplay?
No, it is not a Sans. Not every Blue Jacket cosplay is a Sans. Why would he be holding a sign that says sucks cock for climate?
All right. Virginia Beach is going to drown first.
I mean, possibly. That's very...
yes, because I dressed up.
We are below sea level already, so...
This looks like a costume to a Brazzers porn, which probably is the wanted result, so good job, I guess.
That, you know, I appreciate that, but I also have to wonder how, because it doesn't look pornographic at all, other than the fact that the word cock is in there.
So this is where we get into the fact that I have a naturally,
attractive body?
There is a fucking video that Michelle showed me from Brittany Venti, a naturally erotic body, I think she said that I had. But
you're wearing completely normal clothes and fully dressed in this picture.
This is something I would normally wear
Yeah, no, it is less showy than many of the things that you wear on a day-to-day basis.
I'm wearing leggings, but it's, my ass is covered up by a giant blue rain jacket, and then I have, a cami on, which is a staple in every girl's wardrobe, and a bra so my nipples aren't sticking out.
I mean,
so
I guess there's like a slight amount of cleavage being shown, like an amount that would be normal cleavage. To be every day on any woman.
Right.
Like,
all right. But I mean, there's some browsers porn.
Like risque if you live in the 20s, maybe.
They just want you to look young. Like, they don't really care about, I don't know. I think it's funny. That was a pretty good comment.
Well, especially because in the one where you can see your cleavage is the one where you're making the fetal alcohol syndrome face that Greta makes, which you did a great job of copying.
I mean, my face just naturally looks like that. This is another thing. Okay, so I am autistic.
According to undiagnosed.
According to research.
Level 3.6 on my scale, according to my reading.
Well, I've never been officially tested, but I have come out as autistic to my friends and family.
Yeah.
So
you self-identify as autistic.
I do.
You're trans autistic, if nothing else.
Definitely, I am trans autistic. So, I feel like.
Well, that'll come into play more as we get into the next one.
Right.
Because this is gonna get. We haven't gotten anything that pissed me off.
But I'm just saying
yet.
That's like why I thought it'd be fun for me to do it, because I fucking make retarded faces all the time. So I was like, yeah, I can make that face without even trying.
Which, incidentally, I was talking about her living meme status, and a big part of it is the face.
We have a comment
weird
that says
faces she makes
maybe
when she rants.
that I don't.
And her
really...
stupid put-on voice, where she sounds like she's trying to act in like a fucking cartoon. How dare you? You've taken my future away.
She's been she's been taught by the best, by the George Soros community. This fucking person from the Has Been Hotel, what is this character?
Alistair. Saying maybe.
Why is that a comment?
I don't know. I don't know what he means by that.
I don't know, but
he just wanted to use that gif.
I don't know. It's great, though.
Like, he was just looking for an excuse to pull out his new fucking
going to sail across
gif.
the Atlantic to get to the party?
That's hilarious. That's a good on-brand joke.
The socks really are the perfect touch, TBH.
The socks?
I have Pokeball socks on.
Oh, I see. I didn't even know your socks were visible in that picture.
Yikes, by somebody who I don't know, who has the no sign and what looks to be an onion.
Yikes. Bad, what's the thing? Big oof.
Big oof.
Fucking, god damn it, I can't remember all the other ones. It's the things that people say.
An insincere...
Not a good look, fam.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised that's not on here. That's fucked up, man. She's just a kid. But this is coming from an account that's like completely satire. But
Oh, okay. So that person's probably being satirical.
No, but but I don't think anybody else would get that. I wonder if this would be so funny in the next 5 to 10 years when the sea level rises and you no longer have a home.
It will be even funnier.
Also, she's a disabled child. This is just fucked up.
Okay, here we go. Here's where we're getting into the thick of it, all right? This is a disabled child, so this is fucked up. Okay, first of all, in what way is this fucked up at all? Like, what is fucked up about dressing like somebody for Halloween? If anything, I would think it's complimentary to the level of their influence over society. There's nothing about this that's explicitly making fun of Greta Thunberg. Like,
or her disability.
Or, no, especially that. And, like, again, you self-identify at the very least as an autistic person. And
I mean, that person wouldn't know that, but like I'm not going out of my way to make fun of her for being autistic.
And did he say a disabled child?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to get a handle on what we consider to be a child.
She's also turning 17 like in 2 months.
Yeah, like she's not like literally a kid. She's underage. We don't since when is that a child?
She's a public figure.
Right.
End of story.
No,
public figures are able to be scrutinized and made fun of.
Like,
that's all.
Borderline. Now, like, this was Nate's argument, and I don't even care about this particular argument, but, like, in the case of this particular comment, which I think is what Nate was responding to, he was like, a 16-year-old is like literally of legal age where he lives and in a lot of the world. Like,
I think it's where she's from too.
In Sweden, I don't know, but like I just know that like the idea of considering her to be a child, like I know she looks very young for her age, you know, but like she's not a little kid. She's they want her to almost 17.
You know, the legal age of consent in Sweden is 15, by the way.
Yeah, okay, so not only is she of legal age there and here, but she's not a fucking child. She's a fucking if she committed if she murdered someone, she would probably be tried as an adult at 16, you know?
I don't know, man. There's lots of other costumes that are of younger characters or of younger people.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, if you go as like fucking slutty Arya Stark or something to a party, like, are you sexualizing a child? No. I mean, you are sexualizing yourself. You're the one dressed like that. You're not putting them in the outfit. You're in the outfit. The implication of dressing as somebody doesn't mean you are them. It means that you are the slutty version of them. You are the comedy in making a slutty version. Like, okay, you will see often like women who do like Mexican women who do slutty versions of Dora the Explorer. Like the joke, or
the literal movie that just came out.
Yeah, well, like the joke of being like a hot chick dressed as Dora is that like, oh, I'm like a slutty, hot, grown-up version of Dora the Explorer because I am a slutty, hot, grown-up person. You're not supposed to be Dora. You're supposed to be you dressed as Dora. You wearing Suck Cock for Climate doesn't make you Greta Thunberg. It's so fucking stupid. Oh
yeah,
God,
no, it's
so fucking mad.
It's not the same as making a deep fake of Greta Thunberg and having it literally
I would be like, okay, that's fucked up, you know? But that's another thing. It's not even, like, if a 16-year-old was actually holding this sign, it wouldn't even be weird. Or, like, it wouldn't be that racy. I made dick jokes, suck cock jokes constantly my whole life. I can't remember a time where I wouldn't have thought it was funny to have a sign that says suck cock for climate. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Oh my God.
Firefox has been detected using your camera. Of course. It's because you just said that.
Oh boy.
Every time I talk about
So is Firefox trying to find out if we're like fucking like filming a fucking child porn or something? Is that why it accessed our camera?
No,
what's going on?
It's literally whenever I open the Firefox browser, it does that. But probably...
All right, well, continue reading me more comments. I'm getting fucking heated.
Okay, and then you responded to that person and says, what the fuck is fucked up about dressing as someone? And then someone says, okay, when it's fictional characters. I wouldn't care, but when you are cruel to real kids,
where's the cruelty?
Fucked up.
Where is the cruelty?
I know it's not illegal or anything, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. What the fuck?
Where is the cruelty in dressing as someone?
This is where we get to the fine lines of bullying and someone being a public figure and if you're dressing up for a Halloween.
If you're going to read all my responses, then you'll also see where my response to him is like, it's not like we sent this picture to Greta Thunberg. Oh, God,
do you want me to look at... Because there's a ton of fucking comments. I don't really necessarily want to read them all.
I don't know, read as many as you care to, but like I want, there's a lot of them that made me rage, so I could respond to every single one.
I'm just gonna read the ones that show up. I don't want to have to click through anything because there's some that are like responses to your tweets that are like.
Some of those might be pretty enraging.
Other people jumped in. Okay. Another response to what the fuck, blah. WTF is fucked up about dressing as someone. I don't have a particular problem with someone dressed as another for parody reasons or other, but we are talking about a 16-year-old child with Asperger's. Okay. Sexualizing said child?
Not sexualizing in any way.
You may not like
what
how
is
she's sending her message or the message itself, whatever. It just feels like, you don't like the message that I'm sending.
Okay, again.
Okay, the costume isn't sexual.
Not only is it not sexual, but it's not sexualizing Greta Thunberg. If it were sexual, it would be sexualizing yourself. It would be, you are the sexy version of this character. That is how costumes work. It's mind-numbing to me that people can't fucking make that distinction. Like, that everyone is making all the time at every Halloween party in the fucking country, Like, and, again... Nothing about this costume is an insult. It is a pro-climate message. it is, if anything, on brand, you know? Like, I just don't see how this would in any way... There's other ones you gotta get to that I'll also respond to. I'm repeating myself already.
Okay. Do you want me to...
I want the guy who was talking about, like, if I were a member of her family, or whatever. It's in that same comment thread.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Okay. It is sexualizing a child.
No, it's not.
Well, the person said she's trying to cosplay is a child, not only while sexualizing child in the process.
Don't know what the fuck that grammar was.
Okay, when it's fictional... I already read that one. I just know that if I put myself in their shoes, wrong there, seeing this on the internet would seriously disturb me.
Why?
This is why I see it as cruel. Real people have feelings.
But why would this disturb you? What? I don't understand. Like, okay, if I were... I can remember being 16... And if I saw somebody, like, dressed as me and making, like, an edgy joke, like, I don't understand why I would be upset, you know? Like, especially if I'm putting myself out there.
Okay, well,
like, expecting to be...
Her argument is if Greta Thunberg saw this tweet, she'd be disturbed. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I really don't care.
I don't give a fuck. You're a public figure. I have every right to say whatever I want about how you're doing your thing. And this is not an image of you, so you can't claim it's slander. It's clearly a parody. It's clearly a Halloween costume. Again, it's not illegal, and if that's the argument you're making, then I have every right to post it online. If it's in bad taste, go ahead. You can believe that.
Yeah, but
realize that the person on the other end of the receiving messages is also a person and has feelings and has reasons for doing this. Right. And maybe, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you're the one who should get off the internet because you're being disturbed by, memes.
Right.
When you said...
I would think if Greta went on the internet and was, like, reading the things people say about her,
there's
much worse things she's going to be reading than somebody who's making, like, what I consider to be an endearing costume of her as, like, a character, Like, just kind of drawing it... Like, to me, basically what it says about Greta Thunberg is that she is somebody with, like, a unique enough, like, aesthetic and character that it can be parodied,
Yeah.
And, like, I think it's a funny parody. Like... Do I think that if this was on television, they would use as edgy of a sign as you did? Probably not, because they would guaranteed think that she was going to see it, and, like that she might be disturbed by the idea that they would imply she would suck cock for climate. But that's not what your costume implies. It implies that you, as sexy Greta Thunberg, will suck cock for climate. That's my immediate read on it, Like, I never took it as, like, trying to suggest that this is something she would say. Because it's a completely different message, And, like, it's funny because it's supposed to be, like, the grown-up, sexy version of this character doing the exact type of protest sign that you see all the time. Anyway.
More comments? Greta's 16, you absolute degenerate. She's fucking 16. LMAO.
Legal in her country, legal in my state. I mean, I wouldn't fuck a 16-year-old.
And then we also have...
But, just saying.
I know this is just a costume, but she's 16.
Oh my god.
And there's a comment.
What were you doing when you were 16? Like, I mean...
I was
you were sexually active when you were 16. I was, wished I was sexually active when I was 16.
I wasn't, like, a huge whore when I was 16, but, like, I lost my virginity
I'm just wondering,
16,
like...
So, I don't know. I just, like... I don't think that it's, like, an age where you're, like, a child. Like, you don't need to be protected from the world.
No,
and, again,
like,
it's not being sent directly to her.
It's not like she would be confused about what this is, or, like, never have heard these words before. I don't know, maybe she's extremely sheltered. I don't know anything about Greta Thunberg specifically,
Certainly
but, like,
not.
just the idea that, like, oh, a 16-year-old, you're associating the word cock with a 16-year-old? How could you? Like, what are you fucking talking about? That's all 16-year-olds do is talk about fucking cock. Like, do you remember being in high school? Fuck! Oh my god. Remember the penis game? We were playing that in middle school!
Yep. The penis game. Good times. Let me go back to that
Jesus
one
fucking
message
Christ.
so we can
The
find
pearl
that
clutching
one.
is so ridiculous. Get your fucking gentrified ass out of my goddamn internet, you old fogey
here's another
fucks, you boomer
one that
fucks.
is in response to if you saw this.
Which one guy at the end of the conversation I had with him just says, "Okay, boomer," and I was like, "What? Okay, retard. Like, what are you fucking talking about? It was just such a, like, I have nothing left to defend, so I'm just gonna call you a boomer kind of thing. Like, there was nothing about what I had said that was boomer adjacent in any way. Just I really like to make fun of boomers. Like, I mean, I went on a whole boomer rant on this show, but the way that people online throw it around as a way of just, oh, you said something I disagree with, so you're a boomer. Get fucked.
All right, we have some more. This train of thought is pretty funny. The person from before says, now this comment is reaching up. Look, I admit she's a public figure, and you didn't at her. The fact is that she's 16. She's not legal age, and she is real.
Except she is.
You
in her
say
own
that because
country.
she has a large following. This would not reach her. But the why posting it to the internet and retweet.
Why do you think? Because it's an interesting, creative, fun, humorous joke.
Because I wanted the internet to see it and share in the lols.
Yeah, like we can all have fun.
Which is what the internet was made for.
This is a good, funny, lighthearted parody of a popular figure who has been in the news this year.
They say it in their comment, they're a public figure. If they're a public figure, then it's completely acceptable to make fun of them. This is not the same thing as a racist fucking caricature that some people can claim is offensive. Like, this is literally just, a costume of a public figure. Mm-hmm. Take the message away and who it's coming from. It's the same as dressing up like Trump.
Right, exactly.
Her message is being packaged to you and produced to you and brought to you by people who are professionals, by public relations professionals. Her message is crafted, her image is crafted.
She literally hangs out with like a George Soros handler at all times.
Yeah, it's not like her YouTube videos are like, blowing up. It's like her actual image that we see is a creation by a team of people.
Right.
And I completely think she's in the jurisdiction to make fun of. You can completely think it's distasteful for me to dress up as a 16-year-old.
You're just stupid if you think
but I think it's funny, so we just have a different agreement. We can agree to disagree. I am completely fine if you are triggered by my costume or you think it's weird.
I'm not. I think you're dumb. And you should die for being dumb.
Maybe your intention was not to make fun of her or target her in any way, but it sure comes off that way when you look at the costume.
Why? What about it seems like it's making fun of her exactly? I mean, it is, because that's your intention.
I mean, it's making fun of her as much as making memes about things that she said.
I mean, the whole fun to me of the costume is how not mean-spirited it is. That's what made it funny to me, is that it's it's believable as just a real, climate activist costume, which is why I think it's funny,
You have already commented that comedy is subjective. And I'm sorry, but I can't laugh at the fact that there's people targeting a child in her message about imminent death of the human race. I almost lost a dear friend because of the fires.
Oh my
So no,
God.
This is not a funny costume.
Okay, so first of all, no matter what she was talking about, it would be funny, because the thing that makes it funny is the way she does it. It's the fact that they are putting this autistic child on stage who her mom claims has the superpower to see the ozone because of her autism. So that's the kind of parenting we're at. And we're putting her on stage to scream at world leaders as a general concept, not calling out, say, China, who is doing the most pollution in the world with their, unregulated business practices, where every city is so choked by smog that thousands of people die every year from just the smog in their cities. She's not really doing anything fucking meaningful. She's preaching to the fucking choir. Nobody gives a fuck about this message. It has no effect on anything, and it's fucking retarded. And she sends it in a package where she fucking, works with corporations who are doing the exact things that she's complaining about, and, making a negative impact on the environment in the way that she fucking flies out her people or whatever. it's really clumsy and bad messaging that is stupid, and it just makes people feel good that they can agree with her because they go, oh, somebody cares about the climate. Yeah, everybody cares.
I don't know.
What are we going to do about it?
If we really are dying, I think, like, you know, being able to laugh.
That would be the most important thing.
Is important.
Dude, anybody who ever says, oh, that's not funny, somebody died from that, you are stupid. If that, everything is funny because it's bad. You have to laugh at it to deal with it.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Like, the entire point of comedy is a way to help you deal with the problems in your life and the world. If you hate yourself, then you fucking make jokes about how shit you are so you can cope with the fact that you hate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you get down to the end of, like, get down to the wire, get down to what they really are trying to say, what they're trying to object to by you posting, you know, your content online. And mind you, nobody reached out to me or sent me a DM or, like, tried to have a conversation with me. It's just, you know, it's all posing. It's all like,
it's virtue signaling hardcore.
I'm the most upset. I'm going to reshare this.
It's the most pearl-clutching,
I can't believe somebody did this.
Virtue signaling bullshit crap I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
I was just so, like, I wasn't surprised, again, that people were going to be mad that you, like, made fun of a climate activist. I thought it was going to be more comments like the, you know, Virginia Beach will be the first one underwater, which is funny. I think that's a funny response.
Yeah, it's a funny, giant, like, you know, I liked that comment.
Yeah, that's a funny one. But being like, I can't believe you wrote the words "suck cock" on a sign while you were dressed in the same fashion as a girl who is 16, you know?
Yep.
Who gives a fuck? How is that in any way sexual? And even if it was,
I'm just proud
why would it be a big deal?
I haven't seen anybody else do that costume yet. And I'm just kind of, like, sad and heartbroken that, like, you know, it didn't get shared by,
as many times. Well, it didn't
get shared by, like, Crowder.
I think there were two huge mistakes. One, you did not in any way indicate that it was Greta Thunberg. And there are plenty of people who said, like, what is this? And then when you answer, they're like, oh. Just because Greta Thunberg doesn't have one iconic look.
No,
you know?
I mean, you would have to be familiar with the memeology of this figure.
So I think that's one issue. And the other one is that we did our party the day before Halloween. So if it had actually been posted on Halloween, I think it would have had more impact. I don't think
it would have had that much of a difference. Because, like, you know, it was still getting shared on Halloween. I think people were in the spirit. But, you know, it had a time frame.
Yeah.
I was just kind of afraid to label it as Greta Thunberg because, you know, the enjoyment of it is, you know, I've been following this meme for a long time. I think this is funny. Like, if you're not, you know, on the inside of the joke, you're not going to get it anyways. You're going to be offended by it. Like, I think labeling it Greta Thunberg would have just, like, you know...
invited more of this...
Not that necessarily I don't want it. You know, it's like, I mean... I just, like, don't think it's productive.
Yeah.
It's, like, it's gonna upset people. I don't want to, like, put it out there to trigger as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it was fun to do. And it was, like, it was a stunt.
Because it's really not meant to be a message. Like,
no.
Again, that's why, like, again, I said that the reason I thought it was so funny is because it's, like, a believable, pro-climate advert, you know?
Yeah, and I understand that there's lots of people who would never dress in a costume like that and think it's a little gross. And, you know, I respect that those people feel that way. But, you know, that's exactly what I stand for. And, like, you know, I just think it's funny. So that's why I posted it online. And I'm glad I did.
I mean, here's the real question. Would you suck cock for climate?
Would I suck cock for climate?
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote it on a sign, so it must be true.
Yeah, well... there you go.
If I could save the Earth, I would. You know, if I could even make the Earth last a year longer, I totally would.
I think if I don't know about for 1 year. I mean, fuck, what difference does it make if it's 1 year or another? But like,
I would do it.
I mean, if
I would do it for humanity.
If you know, if all it took,
even if it was
was sucking one cock in order to end climate change, I would give you permission to suck that cock. Hopefully, it's just my cock, though. I mean, hopefully they can choose what cock it is. The scientists who invent this suck cock stop climate.
Yeah, fuck this eating bugs. Let's just all suck each other's dicks.
I mean, what if this was like this campaign? There's a reasonable idea that like, what if you like a bunch of fucking hot American sluts like told the Chinese government officials like, we will suck your dick if you stop, you know, this climate change shit. Do you think it could work?
I don't know if the Chinese would respect the Chinese business, not the Chinese people, but the Chinese businessmen would respect
the question is
like that, and
the question is, what do they want?
You know?
Well, I'm talking about. I don't mean this as like a joke. I mean, they have to actually suck their dicks. Like, will they?
In exchange for what? Not making millions of dollars and exploiting the natural resources and polluting the world.
Do you want endless dick sucking by hot white sluts, or do you want?
No,
fucking...
I think the people who have the money, who have the power, who are causing problems, probably do not. Their main concern is not having their dick sucked. But if it was like, I'll suck your dick if you switch to fucking paper straws.
Does anybody get rich for a reason other than getting their dick sucked, though?
Yeah. Women don't have dicks.
Nate, what woman is rich?
Lots of women are rich.
Other than
Taylor
Hillary
Swift.
Clinton and
Taylor Swift doesn't have a dick. I mean, Beyonce and Hillary Clinton both have dicks. You got me there.
Fair.
But, there are some rich women. But, maybe they did suck a dick to get that money,
All right. Well, have we exhausted this Greta Thunberg? We've gone for 40 minutes about
and this video is going to come out way later, after the fact.
Unfortunately.
I didn't really want to jump in any of the conversations because I thought they would be very inane and very much of like, okay, well, I think it's fine to sexualize.
Do you think that do you think I should stop? Okay. The only reason that these are taking so long to come out, because they're supposed to come out every 3 days, like clockwork. But when I did the first one, mostly just because I thought the first episode was kind of boring for the first half hour or so. I made all these time codes to like talk about what topics we discuss in the episodes. And I figure that like having that, if anybody like starts watching one and they're like, oh, I don't care about this topic, maybe they'll go down and they'll click to a different topic. And I think that's a powerful thing to have, but it is the only reason these are not coming out exactly every 3 days. Because I have to actually listen to them back to create that time code chart. That's the only editing I'm doing is making the time codes. I just have to listen to it to get them. But like, do you think it's worth it?
I think it's valuable, and I do think it makes them, listenable in the future. Like you might go back and be like, oh, I remember this. I remember this bit being really good.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they're valuable.
Do you think it's worth the fact that it makes the episodes come out later?
I mean, I like that they don't come out one after the other because like.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, like, my hope with it was that by setting it for every 3 days, there would always be another video coming out between them, so it would be like there was constantly shit coming out, you know? This theory only works if nothing else comes out between them. And, like, in the gaps that there has been, had they been automatically coming out, there might have been nothing between 2 episodes a couple of times, but... I don't know. I would prefer.
I don't have that much of a problem with the rate that they come out. I think they come out fairly frequently.
It's just that we record them much faster than they've been coming out.
They're usually not so time specific. They usually, are things that you can listen back to. This being,
it feels weird for me when I talk about something in a video and then it hasn't come out yet because I remember that I talked about it and I'll reference the fact that I talked about it.
And it hasn't come out yet.
Because we'll record things like, let's say we record a 2 weeks review where I say something like, oh, the PSP has basically replaced the Whirling Dervish, and then my fans like, no, don't tell me that. And I'm like, oh, well, you haven't even heard the ones that are Dervish-esque. Well, maybe you wouldn't be so worried about it if you knew.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments how you think we can improve these. If you think there should be a different release format. I am in favor of them coming out, maybe a little bit more frequent than they have been.
I mean, they should come out every 3 days. That is the ideal.
It's not always possible, though.
It's only because of the fact that, like, I don't always have time to listen to an hour and a half, or just the desire to listen to an hour and a half long podcast to find all the time codes,
I like having, some in the bank, and you can just, edit and then pop out and have content.
Yeah, they also take up space. But that's not really a problem.
That is true.
I've just been keeping them on the desktop, but I have plenty of hard drive space if I wanted to move the files over, make them safer. My desktop has been cluttered for 2 months now because this is okay. You want to know why my Vinland Saga video hasn't come out yet? This is what I think. Here's my theory. I think I damned it by being too prepared. Because normally when I edit videos, as I edit, I download all the things that I need for the video. Like, I go through... I mean, if there's, like, a bunch of shows I know I need, I'll download those right away. But, like, I usually am gathering clips as I listen through, which doesn't take that long, but it does cause the process to be a very, like, stop-and-go kind of process. Well, for the Vinland Saga video, for whatever reason, unprecedented, I decided to just download everything beforehand so that it would all be there on my desktop. Because I typically keep all project files of a video I'm working on my desktop to inspire me to want to get rid of them by editing the video. But for whatever reason, I have just not wanted to edit this video, even though it's sitting all over my desktop and driving me insane. I don't know. Maybe I cursed myself. Maybe I did something that, like, my brain wasn't wired to operate this way. I have no idea what this is, but, like, it's just been, like, driving me insane that I have these 3 rows of clips on my desktop unused.
It's sickening.
I have a problem.
I don't know. I have,
That's why I'm excited about Cantan!
Cantan!
Which should have been, by the time this comes out, there should already be a bunch of Cantan.
Yeah, you're right. Because this probably won't come out for 2 more weeks.
Yeah, at least. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember how many we have stored up. I think this might be the 4th unreleased episode. It's either 3rd or 4th. Because I know there's the one where I complain about boomers. And I know there's one where you and I went on some other tear. Maybe those were the only 2. Well, in any case, what else do we want to talk about on this? Do you have something you want to get into? Because I have another topic I thought about, like, days ago. I don't know if I'm as, like, passionate about it.
I want to talk about Kanye's merch for
Kanye West,
the Jesus is King merch drop. Kanye is a god among bipolar freaks. And he dropped his gospel album, and he's no longer making secular music anymore.
Yeah, that's
so
what
there's lots of people who are, very upset. But the album, I like it. It's not my favorite Kanye, but I think it's really fun. And a lot of his merch is fucking amazing. There's a donkey video that I recommend you watch to, get a sense of what he has. Yeah. Kanye is, he's infamous for he wanted to get into fashion, but the fashion business kind of laughed him out of town. So he was just like, I'm gonna do this by myself. So he'll sell like socks and stuff for like $50, or like just a plain T-shirt for like $100. So his new merch line came out, and I really want to get something, but it's gonna take 4 to 5 weeks to ship, and I know that and
it's all insanely expensive. And it looks like shit.
Oh, yeah. Like, I really want to get the sweatshirt that just, like, is just the label, the record, the cover, right? Yeah. The album cover. It's just, like, a blue, and it has the logo. And it's, like, $170 or something. Yeah. Which would be worth it if I could have it tomorrow.
That's why I charge the prices that I charge.
I would absolutely love to have Kanye merch. I still might get the hat. The hat's pretty good. It's only $40. I like hats. I have a PewDiePie hat that I spend around the same amount of money on. And
I just think it's really funny that, like, this isn't even your favorite, like, Kanye album. You've only heard it a couple times, but somehow
the message that it would communicate to the world if I had that.
What message? Okay, that you like Kanye and you're willing to spend a crazy amount of money on
me. Second of all, I can visualize myself wearing it. Third of all, if I wore that sweater and a fucking MAGA hat, I would be killed in public, and that would make me cool. You don't even own a MAGA hat. No, I don't. I really wanted to get the pumpkin one. Yeah. The Trumpkin. Because I saw Dick Masterson had it. I'm like, this would be great and would trigger people. But I figured that I, could...
It's really funny that you keep insisting that you want to trigger people, but you really don't. You try to avoid it.
In my own home.
Like
you get it? Okay, yeah. I want to trigger people
who's in your house.
I don't know. We had some people over our house. I'm sure one of them was triggered.
Who?
Maybe
Nobody was triggered at all.
Maybe 2 people were half triggered, and that counts.
Nobody was triggered at all by your Greta
I can pretend.
Cosplay.
I can tell myself in my head that Hope was triggered by my costume.
What you really need is a safe space where you can trigger the libs safely.
No.
Without any repercussions.
I really need a slutty friend with blue hair who is like an environmental activist who loves Bernie and who has giant fat titties, and I can have her come over to my house and we can just fucking trigger each other all day, and it'd be the hottest thing that's ever happened in America.
That's the thing.
And that would mend the gap.
You enjoy being triggered yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You enjoy getting pissed off at the other side or whoever
there is no other side. Yeah. There is no other side.
At all sides. But, everyone all around, everywhere.
Oh, yeah. It's the same thing with cringing.
Yeah.
Getting triggered is the same as cringing for me. And it's like this ethereal experience where, like, you transcend your individuality and your humanism.
I mean, I don't even
and just become like a vibe of trigger.
I do not enjoy actual like cringe, like stuff that actually makes me cringe. I don't get any enjoyment.
No, I enjoy cringing at myself.
Oh, okay.
I don't like watching cringe comps.
Because they're usually shit and they're not actually cringe. But, like, if I actually see something that makes me cringe, I just feel bad. Like, I don't find it funny. I'm just like, oh, you poor bastard, like...
Yeah. We've reached a postmodern status of cringe. Cringe culture was, like, a couple years ago. Triggered culture has stayed.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of taken on different names. Because, I think it's a very human kind of reaction to things. To just get angry. But, I like to experience that because I feel like it makes me just more flexible in a sense, more easy to move on. So, I like political, comedy from the left and from the right. But the only way to enjoy it on both sides is if you make yourself cringe enough times where you're a little triggered. You make yourself a little desensitized to being triggered. Yeah. But, I don't know. I studied politics in school. I love politics. I love talking about it. I'm a history buff. JK.
I don't know.
I'm joking.
Buff is a strong
joking.
Word. You have an interest in history.
I've watched the History Channel twice. I know more than the average white girl.
That probably lowered your understanding of history, if we're being honest.
No. But I'm informed, I think. I read the newspaper. I keep up with current events. Today was 11/3. Did you know that? Seattle did not blow up, contrary to popular belief.
Well, I don't think the football game is over yet.
No, I think it's over.
They would end at like 7.
The last time I saw it was maybe fucking Seattle's gone and we just don't know.
Yeah, we could be sitting here recording.
It could be gone.
With no idea.
Well, yeah. I do enjoy politics, and I just don't like to be political. So the only thing that I can do, the only thing I can resort to is just triggering myself and other people constantly in my head.
I guess I fall, I'm a little bit closer, okay, so Nate, our buddy, he really seems to, he really doesn't want to be, angry or offended or to, deal with that at all.
He is the actual opposite of what I'm talking about. Right. I'm having a little bit of difficulty explaining it, but, Nate is somebody who will just,
try his best to avoid being angry about something.
Offending people or trying to avoid having a stance.
I mean, he very much is not, he's somebody who's I'm not going to change what I'm going to say at all for anybody. I'm not going to avoid offending people as in change my actual opinions. But, it is never my intention for you to be offended by my opinion, and I would like us to reach an understanding if possible. Right.
I think
he gets no joy out of being, angry or out of being combative or, inviting any kind of drama or any kind of, triggering. He really does not want that. And he seems to avoid it at all costs, to his own mind. And, I think I fall in between where, I really try to reserve my anger. If I think there's any reason that what the person is saying is acceptable, I always try to consider what they mean, whether or not I really think that, they're really saying what they intend, or if, you know, like, is there another angle I could look at this from? Because, like, you'll often show me things where it's like, you know, look at this ridiculous thing this person said. And I read it, and I'm like, okay, but if we think about it this way, it's not so ridiculous. And then sometimes we'll talk about it, and you will convince me that it is exactly that ridiculous.
Or vice versa.
When we get to the heart of it. But, like, you have, like, you see that, and you get excited to be like, oh, look at this fucking moron, you know?
Because I like to tear things apart, and, like, you know, sometimes you actually learn something by doing that.
Right.
It's like, oh, like, look at this crazy point, like, let's investigate this and, like...
And find out why this person thinks this. And I definitely think that's interesting. Like, for me, it's not like, so much...
I also don't want to shy away from the fact that there's a bias there.
Yeah.
Like, I think, you know, a lot of people they understand that they're not going to convince people on their own to change their mind, and they don't want to get dragged into pointless debates. But like, I don't know, I feel like, you know, everything we're doing, we're operating on that truth fundamentally, so like, why not just have fun with it?
Right. I mean, I kind of it's not so much that I'm like avoiding it the way that Nate does. It's more like I want to be convinced that it's worth being angry about. Because, like, I'm already angry about so much shit all the time. Like, I am in a constant state of everyone's retarded, the world is full of fuck, you know, like, you listen to my music, you listen to The World Over, you can tell this is somebody who is not happy with the way that society functions, you know? So, like, you know, like, I'm already so mad, I can't have my whole day be consumed by it. Because, like, if I get mad about something, I don't stop thinking about it. It stays in my head, and that's what becomes a whirling dervish, you know? It's, like, that persistent, I can't believe that... And, like, the Greta Thunberg cosplay thing is a perfect example, where it's just, like, something that, to me, is so obviously inoffensive, and that all you need to do is think for, like, 1 second about, like, why does this offend you? And, like, when people give their reasons, the reasons are so bad, they're so stupid, that it's like, you're not thinking. You are listening to your first instinct to be mad and finding justifications for it. But your justifications are stupid, you know? Like, I understand that your initial reaction was this, but, like, please listen to reason. You're being ridiculous, you know? And so, like, that kind of feeling is what...
reason can be something as simple as it's in bad taste, as long as, like, as long as that's your argument, but there's really nothing to argue there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
So when they get called out on it, it's like, well, they can't really argue. It's just like, this is just a matter of preference. And...
Right. But if you're trying to, like, justify it with this, like, these reasonings, it's just like, these are not good... these are not reasons that are based in logic, you know?
Right.
In my mind. And so, like, I see that, and it just infuriates me, and I want to rant about it. But, like, it has to pass a test, you know? Like, I'm not just going to get angry and rant about every single dumb thing that anybody says. I want to, like, consider, okay, well, you know, because a lot of dumb shit is said in jest, and a lot of dumb shit is just badly communicated, you know? Like, the point they're trying to make is fine, it's just that they phrased it really stupidly, and, like, a lot of people online can't really write that well, like, a lot of the stuff that you get on Twitter where you show me stuff, a lot of the time, like, I just kind of go, I think this is what they meant, and we're like, oh, okay, like, it's not as retarded as it seems, it's just misspelled and badly phrased.
There was one person who, like, said something about, oh, this isn't illegal or something. But it was spelled so wrong where I thought they said, like, this is illegal.
Yeah.
So I just was like, and there's nothing illegal about this, you fucking asshole. And then I looked at their bio and it said, like, I am not fixing any of my spelling errors. Yeah. And it's like, well, okay.
It was the worst spelled tweet of all time, which was clarifying his lack of that he is never going to spell check any of his tweets ever again, and it was really funny.
It was pretty funny. I was like, oh, I'm sorry for being a retard. I didn't look at your bio. Like,
well, not that you should have to, but like it was just that his initial
that
tweet.
Your pronouns were completely misspelled.
Yeah. Wait. There we go. There's the box.
But you know, a lot of the people who are on Twitter, you know, for a reason, because they're a part of a group or a community that exists within the interface of Twitter, and they will just, you know,
it's just now. And I know some people are going to be mad who have been actually paying attention to the gameplay, because people were mad at me for like not switching weapons and not like preparing, because the game is just so easy, there's no need. But it literally had not occurred to me, because I kept thinking, well, my inventory is constantly full. I could go and sell all my items after each thing I do, but it doesn't seem to matter. But it did not occur to me that I haven't been able to pick up better weapons. Like, I just not picking up better weapons because my inventory's been full forever. So I'm like, ooh, some of this is probably some weapons Is
there a bank?
I mean, I can't do it in the mission.
No,
Although none of these are weapons. Well, this is, but it's a bow, and I don't use bows anyway. So I guess I'm fine for now. But yeah, I should go sell shit just to be better prepared for the future. It's always a good idea to sell.
It's always a good idea.
So I can actually get some good shit. But this game is, like, mind-numbingly easy. It's, like, almost impossible to fail.
So when Michelle and Nate were here, Michelle turned me on again to this channel called Hiding in My Room, which is this guy named Daniel who's like a weird...
I am 100% convinced that guy is a performance artist.
I'm not convinced that it's legitimate at all. Like, from the videos that I watched, I'm not convinced that some of it isn't fake.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched this one episode where he was talking about how he had purchased a sex bot or a sex doll or whatever, the full body ones, and that he hadn't cleaned it because it sucks to have to clean things, and then he got a UTI. And it's like, just the way he framed the video and how he sat, like, he kept, like, sitting in his chair funny and doing stuff like that, and it's like, this is orchestrated. Like,
no, he's definitely
this was cut artist. To look a certain
Quote
way.
me right now, like, everybody in the world.
There's no way.
Because I know this guy's popular, I know people talk about him. That guy is a performance artist. I am 100% fucking sure.
If this guy was legitimate, he would not be as coherent as he is.
Right, well, that's, okay. Here's the thing.
Because I've known people who are socially incapable and they're not coherent.
If anybody hasn't seen the Munchie lecture on Parkour Dude 91, when he told the story, all of us believed it because none of us had seen any of this guy's narrative. And at the end, of course, it's revealed that he was a performance actor all along. Munchie had been fooled for a long time. He'd been following this guy's narrative, right? When Munchie showed me some of his videos afterwards, and it's difficult for me to say, like, oh, obviously this is a performance artist, because I already know. You know, I've been informed. How can I put myself in the mindset of somebody who hasn't already heard that? But it seemed very obvious to me that it was put on, and it's because I know what it takes to make a video. And I've seen the videos that people make who are not together, you know, who the kinds of people who would do the kinds of things that he does, like, it was just that the camera was too well framed when it pans to things. The editing is too good, specifically
to, like, things that would, lead you to draw conclusions about him, and like, particularly just him sitting in his chair and how he, like, edited it just, like, weird, like, the weird ways he was sitting in his chair, just, like, communicating to me that he was doing this on purpose.
Let me tell you right now, the Hiding of My Room guy, I have not seen any of his videos.
Didn't we see some a while ago?
We did not watch any of them. We were just...
Because I've definitely watched some of his earlier ones.
I remember watching, like, 30 seconds of one and just immediately being like, this is an act. Like, because the life story he presents happening is so ridiculous. There's no way it could happen, like, and be chronicled this way.
Right.
You know, like, there's no way that this narrative would incidentally emerge in such a clear, narratively, like, package, like in a package where something is always happening, where there's no boring part, where there's no part where he's just vlogging himself doing nothing, which even Parkour Dude 91, like, the biggest thing that was convincing about him is he would do these, like, all day live streams in character, you know, but, like, even just knowing that that's something somebody has done is, like, enough for me to...
Like, they're obviously, you could be inspired by those creators to do it, yourself. And just the fact, like, I have seen some of his earlier videos, and they, he's improved in ways that, would lead you to think that he is a performance artist, that this is an act, like, at least to some extent.
I am, I'm, like, certain. I have no doubts about it. I obviously there's no way I can prove it. There's no way I can, like, point to a smoking gun, especially not having watched the videos, but it's just, like, I find it extremely difficult to imagine that it is not a performance art.
I am not inclined to think it's 100% sincere or a legitimate documentation of this guy's life. I think there is some manipulation on his end. I don't think it's 100%, you know. I don't trust on everything I see online, and like just from watching a couple of his videos, I get kind of the sense that this is put on. But, you know, it's very elaborate. And
okay.
I think...
Like, here's some things. One, the guy is, like, fairly handsome and normal looking. He's not, like, a weird guy. He's not badly spoken. He's not, like... he's not badly framed. He has good equipment. He has good audio. He's living in
Japan. He can speak Japanese and English.
I just don't believe that guy lives such a ridiculous life, you know?
Yeah. Like, right now he's on his, like, homeless arc.
Yeah.
And he made a video where he was going to show you what it was like to live in a tent. But, you know, he had said in the video that he was not staying in the tent and that he actually had Airbnbs. So it's just like, well, what was the point of this video? I don't know. There's like, it's interesting, and I would, you know, need to watch more of his videos before I can come to any kind of conclusions. But, like, the guy, like, you know, he seems... like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't think it would be possible to present it in such a clickbaity, compelling way if you didn't know what you were doing.
Right. It's definitely the clickbaitiness.
Like, real lolcows, real crazy people, like, people find out because they watch the videos.
And I mean, you can be such a performance artist where, like, the lines blur. You know? It could be like you really are in these crazy situations, but the way you're presenting it is, like...
I mean, if you are a performance artist, you are definitely insane. Like, it is a totally ridiculous thing to decide to do, but it's a very different thing from being legitimate, you know? I don't know. I feel like I will be eventually vindicated in this opinion, but, you know.
Well, we'll see.
I understand why.
I was surprised that he kept making videos because, like, things were really bad, and he's not, like, making a lot of money from this. So it's like, if this was real, like, he would have stopped.
I mean, like, same with Parkour Dude 91, where, like, with the, like, in the context of the narrative that he was that he proposed himself to be in, it doesn't make sense that he even could do the stuff he was doing online. You know?
Yeah. No. Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't trust like that. Maybe it is real though. I have no.
I mean, if their videos are so edited, that's the thing for me.
I haven't watched them. I just like from the outset, like on first sight, just went like, nah, that's fake. Like I can smell a fake. You know,
it's just like
I know enough about filmmaking. Too
much editing for me to think that it's completely like natural and organic that this is happening. That's just me though.
I mean, like, if it was happening, what kind of person is it that does these things, you know? Like, I got the impression, sort of, that his character is almost like an Elliot Rodger-esque figure, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, because, again, I haven't watched him. That's just, like, the impression I got from, like, the sight of it and the seeming conceit behind it. But it's just, like, I don't think that, you know, his actions seem to reflect, like, a type of person that you feel like, oh, I get what this guy's about, you know? It's like more like a weird, kooky, fabricated character to me. Yeah. But hey.
It's more fun to, you know, just believe it and think it's real. So, you know, if you do, we're not shaming you, but...
No, I am. You're stupid. You're dumb. I'm shaming everybody today. Anybody who believes things that are stupid and bad, I'm shaming you for it. I'm tired of us telling people it's okay to be dumb.
It's okay to be dumb.
All the problems with the world come from the dumbness. How are you supposed
to be smart? If everybody had average intelligence, you know? I want there to be stupid people.
So you can feel better?
So I can manipulate them and make them into wage cucks one day.
Fair.
Just joking.
I think it's funny whenever people are like, Digibro's an anime YouTuber. Why should we listen to him talk about anything? Why would he know anything? And it's like,
why would he know anything about being a YouTuber?
not just about being a YouTuber, but like anything. Like people are always like, oh, well, you know about this, but why would you know about that? And it's like, I don't know. My job is to know lots of things about stuff so I can draw comparisons between things. Like being an analyst basically means taking in as much data as you possibly can. I spend tons of time doing research. I learn about things from the media I consume, which is from a huge variety of perspectives of people talking about their lives and about the functions of the world. A lot of the stuff I enjoy involves very like high-minded concepts and gives you some kind of at least basic understanding of them through just the fact that like oftentimes the people creating that content do know more about the subject. You know, and like, and also, like, I don't know, I think I'm a fairly smart guy. I think I know some things. I think I'm a little worldly. I think I've been around the block a few times. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. You know.
Let him have it.
I don't really know what inspired me to bring that up. It's just like, you know, it frustrates me a little bit when people are like, why would you know things? You are an anime YouTuber. And it's like, yeah, but the content of my messaging is much deeper than most of the anime I'm talking about, I would think, you know? Like, a lot of it is about reading deeper concepts into simplistic shows.
Having background knowledge to be able to tie that to real things.
Right. I mean, maybe I don't always do it well, but... You know.
I mean, you know, if they're saying that you don't know anything about, like, what a doctor would know, I mean, sure, you haven't had, like, medical training, but, you know, you still...
Ooh, that brings me to an interesting thing, because, this is something we kind of didn't get to talk about on PSP since it happened,
recently?
Yeah, in between different things we were doing, but, you know, my autism video came out, and, like... Most people thought it was funny. There's some people who are like, oh, this isn't really what autism is and stuff like that. Not a lot of people were super offended by it, but there were a few. And there was particularly one guy in my server who I was talking to about it. And it was interesting because I kind of eventually seemed to convince him that I knew a lot more than he thought I knew. And the reason I feel so confident talking about autism is because not only do I think that I have some form of it because of the fact, here's how I explained it to him. I was like, look, I might not have what is currently considered to be autism. However, I share so many of the traits that, like, if you were to take an autism quiz, you know, I've taken those and gotten, like, high scores for definitely has Asperger's, you know, and, like, I was tested for it as a kid. Like, my parents thought I was autistic, took me to the doctor, and he said, nah, he's not autistic. But, like, the understanding of it was super different back then. And just the fact that the understanding has continued to change so much leads me to think, well, shouldn't we be proposing as many ideas as possible that could potentially further the research, as many, like, perspectives as we can, even if it's not all, like, scientific peer-reviewed stuff. It's just, like, to open your mind to think about new possibilities, you know? Like, maybe a scientist would see my video and be like, you know, this is not accurate, but it's interesting. Like, it presents some kind of perspective, because my ability to do this is predicated on the fact that I surround myself with autistic people and have forever.
Even if it isn't, like, the traditional definition of autism, there's significance in you calling it the autism chart.
Yeah, no, there's a huge significance, because, like, even if I do not qualify as autistic, many of my friends were diagnosed with, you know, autism or Asperger's. A lot of my family is diagnosed with autism and Asperger's. You know, I date somebody or am engaged to somebody who also considers herself to have it and also has family members with diagnoses, and we know it is a partially genetic condition at least, so, you know, it would almost be weirder if we didn't have any of it. You know, it's rampant in our families, it's rampant in my group of friends, and it's most of all rampant in my hobbies. Like, there's tons and tons of diagnosed Asperger's and autism people that I've talked to over the years who have told me as much, who I've, you know, studied their behaviors from interacting with them, looked at what they're into, and, like, I've seen these patterns of, like, the way that people behave and the things that they're into having a lot of correlation to each other. And, like, you know, just noticing that certain autistic traits tend to come in pairs, you know, like certain ways that people communicate and act tends to correlate to their taste, you know, and that maybe the connecting threads between the different things that those people like says something about them. And like ultimately what it kind of boiled down to is like the most autistic people that I know are the ones who care the most about the depth of detail in like character, story, and setting above the actual like quality of the writing or like relatability of the characters, you know. We were talking about, okay, so like I've often considered Osamu Tezuka to be autistic, right? Mm-hmm. And my reasoning is that his writing, to me, reads a lot like Chris Chan's writing. Like the dialogue, the way that the characters communicate is so unnatural, it's so unusual, but it's something I've seen in stories written by autistic people. So in my chart, I basically propose that like level 4 autism is a certain magical index, right? Well, I would actually say that the books are level 5 autism, because the books are significantly more ridiculous than the show, just because the way that the author writes is to constantly make references to things. Like he's always implying that there's all these extra world building details, organizations, or just like weird details of the setting that happen, like, or the way the characters are thinking. Like all of it is just, it's so much, it's so dense, and the characters communicate exactly like the Chris Chan characters, where like everybody is constantly just like no you like characters are always arguing with each other. That's a very common trait of all these like autism stories, is that characters they have trouble communicating, and they are often kind of like argumentative with each other, but the way that they argue is very dumb, and everybody talks the same way, you know. Yeah. And like that's how it is in Index, that's how it is in you know, autistic works I've read, and that's how it is in Tezuka stories, because they're written by people who, I mean, okay, so there was this interesting thing that Wada, a fan of mine who, you know, used to have a podcast where he'd analyze my work. He went to this seminar about autism because he's, like, involved in autism studies, I guess. And they were talking about how they have this test to try to test autism in children. It doesn't work as well on adults because they will more likely see through the sort of scenario. But it goes like this. It's like Sally. Hold on, I'm trying to think of exactly. I can pull this up.
Remember.
Hold on, I can pull it up so I can read it exactly after I finish killing this guy, because I want to get it right.
Oh no!
Oh god, there's
You're
more.
breaking the fourth wall. This isn't supposed to be a let's play.
Maybe the game will, okay, the game freezes anyway if I click away. All right, let me real quick find this thing that Wada sent me, because I think this is really interesting. Okay, so it's a picture. It's a like a comic. It says, "This is Sally, this is Anne. Sally puts her ball in the basket. Sally goes away. Anne moves the ball to her box. Where will Sally look for the ball?" And if you answer that Sally will look in the box, that is the autistic answer. If you answer that she will look in the bag, that's the non-autistic answer, or the basket. Because you understand that Sally does not know that the ball has been moved. But the autistic person only is basing it off of what they themselves know. They have a harder time thinking about, like, what would that other person know? It's just what I know. And this is why autistic people can get so, like, particular about the things they care about, because they expect you to have the same knowledge that they have. And that's why they get so mad when you get something wrong, you know, which is why the most autistic commenters tend to be the ones who are constantly correcting every little thing you say.
I got that one wrong. Like,
yeah,
I said that she would look in the
Even
box.
though you were an adult.
Like, I wasn't thinking about it seriously
when
I saw it. It's just like, you know,
I mean, my answer...
This is what I know. Like,
my answer to Wada was
not?
like, I could see normal kids getting this wrong because it seems like a trick question. And he responded spoken like a true autist.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's
I
like,
guess
well,
maybe
I'm
normal
not going
kids
to be
would
wrong.
Never fall for this.
Like, I don't know.
Fuck. Well, I had escaped all. Again, so easy. But yeah, like, so if that is like the indicative, like, here's how we can definitely say someone's autistic is this exact issue, well then it causes me to think about the writing of those stories and how they are so obsessed with what the author knows. They're obsessed with pouring as much of the author's knowledge into the story as possible, and the characters all communicate like the author, and they all get mad at each other for not understanding things that they already know. And yet, all of them seem to know a lot of the same things and communicate in very similar ways because the author can't step outside of himself to create characters that aren't like himself. So, to me, it's like, okay, this is like a very consistent thing I'm seeing in works both by people who are confirmed autistic and by people who are not confirmed but who seem to write the same way, you know?
Right. Has Christian been confirmed?
Yeah, Christian is a diagnosed autistic. You know, she's talked about it. But yeah, like...
We've talked about it too.
Yeah, everyone's talked about it. But, yeah, so, like, it's not like I'm coming out of nowhere with these ideas about, like, what is autistic or not. Like, this is based on what I would consider to be research and experience. It's not peer-reviewed empirical research and experience, and I'm presenting it in an extremely simplified way to communicate the idea as easily as possible. And, like, my understanding of it goes a lot deeper than how deeply I can explain it, because I've made so many more connections in my mind, you know, like I've seen so many things that indicate the truthfulness of like what I'm saying, that like I can give you a few examples and hope that you can kind of extrapolate from that and understanding, which a lot of people did. And like even autistic people don't have trouble doing that because they think like I do, because I'm also autistic, which is that they make those connections very easily. And so they think about the things that they like and the way I'm describing the things they like, and they think, oh yeah, that does describe a bunch of things, and then they start trying to make those connections themselves. They start looking for it in other media. So as long as you don't reject the premise of what I'm saying, you will probably agree with me on some level, you know, whether you want to call it autism or not, which some people are upset that I called it autism, and they're like, why didn't you call it something else? And it's like, because this is supposed to be an awakening moment for you, you know, like, I really do believe that this is connected to autism, and I do believe that that like the autistic spectrum, you could have a cutoff point beyond which you consider a certain set of attributes to be what you're calling autism, but I think that those exact attributes appear like all together in lots of people in like smaller ways, you know, like my idea of the level 1 autist is basically somebody who in some small way exhibits all the same traits as an autistic person, many of which are far more obscure than like their taste in media. But like, I'm not going to get into every single fucking thing that, you know, this is like a very simplified thing that is easy to read, that I think has a lot of consistency and very applicable to different media types, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like when people are like, oh, you don't, why are you talking about autism? You don't know anything about it. It's like, I think I fucking kind of know something about it, you know? Like, I'm surrounded by it all the time. I was at BronyCon 3 years in a row. I know about autism, okay? A convention where they literally give you like the green, yellow, and red badges for whether or like for autistic kids, so that they can, you know, signal whether or not they should be approached or communicated with.
Yeah, and you don't see that being given out at sports games.
You don't see that given out anywhere except BronyCon. I've never heard of it before.
Definitely not.
So funny. It's just that autistic. Like, that's how autistic Brony fandom is. And all of us having been involved with it, obviously autistic as well. Like, I don't even think there's an argument to be made at all that you can like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic with no autism whatsoever. I don't think there's an argument to be made. And there are people who are telling me things like, because I say at the start of my video, like, if you are into anime, you must be at least a little bit autistic. And this one guy was like, well, I know some people, you know, my dad's watched some anime and he's as normie as they come. And I'm just like, dude, like, your dad, it's probably just a little bit autistic. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's fucking... why would I believe that your dad is a total normie just because you see it that way, when I think the fact that he likes anime means that he must be at least a level 1 autist? Like, you know, level 1 autists blend into society perfectly fine. They've never had to think about the idea that they were, you know, that different. But, like, they must understand the things they like are not normal. Like, I've been thinking about making, like, starter packs for each level of autism and giving each of them, like, a quote that is what they are. And, like, level 1 autism is, like, I'm not like other girls or whatever. You're like, I'm not like the, you know, I like weird stuff. People in my group of friends say I'm the weird one. That's what I want it to be. My group of friends thinks I'm the weird one. That's level 1 autism. Any level beyond that, you don't have that group of friends.
What if you're like the least autistic person in your friend group?
If you're the least autistic?
Yeah.
You're probably not. I mean, it could be.
Like you're surrounding yourself with like level 3s and level 4s, and like you are a level 2. Because I feel like I'm the weird one in my friend group is a level 2 thing.
You think so?
Because like your friend group is probably level 1s because you're friends because you like some of the same stuff.
Well, I would think. I mean, if you are the weird one in your friend group, you're probably like that would imply that the rest of your friends are more normie than you.
I mean, I think level 1 is normie-ish.
That's what I'm saying. Like level 1s are the ones saying I'm the weird one in my friend group because they see themselves as weird. I agree
even that
though
it would be like level 1 or level 2 because only somebody with like the self-awareness in quotations of a normie would even think of themselves as something
exactly.
Like that.
That's why I think it's because
comparing themselves.
I've met so many people who literally say things like that where they're like, oh yeah, I'm into Naruto, like I'm the weird one in my group of friends, and it's like, okay, like that just means your group of friends is all normies and you're the one who's slightly autistic, but like you're not weird at all compared to anyone further down that chart.
I just think you have too many levels.
You think so?
I think there's too many levels.
I did it very exactingly and scientifically. I have like
some little things that I would have changed about it.
What would you have changed?
I would make less levels.
Like what? What would be your levels?
I think level 1 and level 2 would probably be combined. There would be like like a more deep level, and then there's like a strictly database level 3 level.
Well, let me tell you exactly what my levels would be. Level 1 is.
I also think like OCs and stuff can be present in like.
Oh no, they can be present anywhere. Anywhere
level.
In the chart.
Like it's not. I don't know.
No, that's not. I definitely didn't communicate well enough I should have gone a lot more into the fandom side of things because like I was trying because a lot of people were like, oh, I might be level 6 because I care about like my own inner universes more than the actual product, and I'm like, that's not what I meant. Like, go read Chris Chan's tweets and you'll know what I mean. Like, Chris Chan is inside of her own brain. Like, there is nothing, like, everything is a part of her universe. Literally. Everything is a part of her inner narrative universe, Like, that's what I'm talking about with level 6 autism. If you're just like, oh, I care about my fanfics more than the actual show, I mean, that could be true at, like, level 3, But, yeah, I definitely think I could have been gone into more depth, but like I don't really participate in that kind of fandom side of things that much, so it's harder for me to specify like what I think. And I do think that like people at level 2 are more likely to be like canon obsessed, because I consider that to be like the stage where you're more about like finding things that are good and obsessing over them to the furthest extent you can, as opposed to further levels where whether something is good or not has less to do with your enjoyment, But like I consider level 2 to be the aficionado. That's where you're like, yeah, I'm into movies, Like the way that Mumkey is into movies. Like Mumkey is my example of a level 2 autist, Like he's a guy who
my dad.
Your dad is maybe closer to level 3. I don't know. Because your dad doesn't really obsess over the movies. He just categorically wants to watch them all. But he does make these very extensive charts. Yeah, maybe he's like level 2, but like I would say Mumkey is like a level 2 autist where he's clearly degenerate enough and far enough off the beaten path in his interests and his ability to communicate that that he's not normal, but he's not like a somebody who would have difficult fitting into society necessarily. I think he could communicate with regular people pretty easily. I think that his involvement in things is more about like categorically considering movies to be good or bad.
On that. I don't think Mumkey fits into society as like easily as you say. There's a reason he connects to Elliot Rodgers so much.
Well, yeah,
I think he would have an easier time than like somebody who's not functioning.
What I mean is like, let's say we were all to go. Let's say me and a group of my autistic friends all went to the grocery store together. Mm-hmm. My normie friend is going to go like, hey, how's it going when he gets up to the register, right?
Okay.
Maybe he'll strike up a conversation with the person behind the counter. Your level 1 autist is going to be like, just like regular. Level 3, I think, is where you start downcasting your gaze and not looking people in the eye.
Okay, but there has to be some fluidity in this because.
Well, of course.
Like, that's my problem, I think, with the autism chart is that it's not a natural state of the individual. Like, you can
it's
go
not,
deeper, and nobody is inherently at level 6.
I mean, you have to. Baby, you know how I feel about labels. Like, I don't like labels. I don't want to actually label people. It's like, oh, you are level 2 autism. Like, I really would prefer if it was something people thought about for themselves. And, like, the more I can flesh out the idea of it, the more you can look at yourself and go, like, okay. Because, like, not everybody who's at level 3 has all the same traits. You know, like, not everybody's going to be the same way. But, like, when I think about somebody who can look people in the eye and talk to them fairly normally, I think that is somebody who's less autistic than me, you know, because I can't do it. I can't look people in the eye. I can't talk to people normally, you know, like I have to force myself.
But again, you can force yourself. Like, you can learn how to kind of correct those behaviors.
It's true.
And, like, you know, with somebody like, I don't want to
but I think it's more...
say too many things about Mumkey, but, like, he's somebody who, like, bullied people in school, and, you know, a lot of people who tend to do that are doing it to kind of compensate,
mask their own insecurities. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, saying somebody's level 2 autistic is still pretty autistic. Like, I'm not saying he's like a fucking healthy member of society, but, like, compared to, I think that he would not have to force himself to have a normal social encounter. I think that he would have a functional, like, okay. When autistic people are capable of communicating, it's because they have, like, a strategy, you know? Like, they have an understanding of the way people are, and they try to base their interactions around their strategy of that person, and they spend a lot of time thinking about...
I completely agree, and, like, you know, I've been in situations where it's been very easy for me to communicate because I just have, like, an understanding of what is expected of me in that encounter, and it feels very natural. But, like, I think normies kind of have that just, you know, it's more ingrained in them because they're able to kind of pick up on what other people are doing more easy. But, like, I think a lot of what they're doing is very structured and just, like, you know, they're also reading off of a script. Like, that's kind of why I love the NPC memes so much, is that it's like these people are just reading off of a script, and, like, you know, because that's kind of how I always see social exchanges anyways. It just, like, makes more sense for me to see it that way. A lot of my problems with your autism chart come from the fact that I honestly think that according to your list, most people are at least level 1. Like, level 1 is like 50% of the population that is able to, like, you know, who is able to read media. Like,
no, yeah. Well, I mean, as we clarified on a previous discussion, wait, did we talk about this on this show? Is that where we came up with the conclusion that most people can't read and are dyslexic?
I think so.
Was that on PSP?
I think so.
Okay, maybe we did talk about all this.
We definitely did, but, like...
Oh, God damn it.
I think it's fine. I think it's, like, interesting to talk about, and, like, we always have new things to say about it. Like, the things you were saying were
this is my life's work. Let's be frank. But, like...
Now that it's been out for a while, I think it's funny that you, like, redacted that Nate was a level 2, and you, like, made him level 3.
Oh, I made him more extreme, because it was partially because some of the videos he made recently and partially from interacting with him personally. I just felt I had underrepresented. Well, it's funny because, like, he and I both agreed that, like, a lot of what I was saying about level 2 was sort of based on him. Like, because I had him in mind when I was talking about level 2. But then when I actually heard him, like, doing some of his videos, I realized the depth he goes into is just greater than what I meant to imply that a level 2 would go into.
I think that's completely fair.
Like, okay, what I would really pick is, like, YMS as, like, level 2 bordering 3, right? Like, he has a kind of categorical obsession with
No way.
What do you think?
He's definitely a level 3.
You think
it's hard with internet creators because they're putting on this, like, personable, you know, they want to be well-spoken and articulate, and everything they're doing is orchestrated. Like, if you're just watching somebody through their videos, it's impossible to kind of tell. But I think the fact that he watches every single movie and knows a ton about directors, like, he just has so much in-depth and categorical knowledge about those things and about genre trappings that I would be inclined to think that he's above a level 2.
Level 2 is supposed to have all that stuff, though. Like, level 2 is supposed to know
aficionado.
about...
I'd say Red Letter Media is more level 2.
That's a perfect example as well, yeah.
But not everybody in Red Letter Media, just, like...
Yeah, they're different. They're definitely on different levels. And I would say...
Just like the show itself is a level 2 show.
I think Mike is more autistic than Jay, for sure. Yeah. You know, but, like, I definitely think that if we had to judge the show itself by its level, I would say it's like a level 2 autism show, because its primary concern is to decide... based on like common factors and understandings of what is good or bad, whether something is good or bad, or at the very least to their taste.
YMS has the look.
What's the look?
The autism
The level 3 look?
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
We all look the same.
He does.
We
and
all
he's
look the same. Yes.
But
yeah, furries definitely adds another point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
don't know. Yeah,
adds another point.
Maybe I'm underestimating YMS's autism level, but like my point is like the way that Monkey
the product
talks
that he
about
makes is probably more for level 2. But I don't think YMS is a level 2.
Let me put it this way: the way Monkey talks about things is like emblematic of my idea of level 2, and I don't think he thinks any more deeply about things than the way he talks about them. I think he shares all of his thoughts on the subject.
More deeply just about more sinister things. As I've said before, I believe that Monkey is a sociopath.
Well, I mean, that's like a totally nebulous, like, it's not a real thing. Like, a sociopath is not a real thing.
What do you mean? It's real.
It's not like a real medical condition you could, like, diagnose somebody with. It's like a social idea.
No, sure.
But I honestly, I think that a lot of what we consider to be... I mean, I think a lot of what we consider to be sociopathy has to do with autism, because like a lot of autistic people literally have strategies for communication. Like they figure out like methods by which they can identify what they should say in a situation.
Yeah, and that could be just, that could be labeled as being manipulative, calculating, right. That very much so.
And I mean, if you use that, like, I think what we consider to be sociopathy is using that kind of technique, that kind of thought process to take advantage of people. But, like, that's just what you're deciding to do with it. It's not, like, an innate quality of yourself. Like, I don't think Monkey cannot turn off that he's an asshole. Like, it's just, he's just an asshole, Like,
yeah, and
so...
He's a deeply flawed and interesting individual.
But, like, if
I'm sorry if
sociopathy means anything at all, then we could call him that, but I don't think it's real.
I mean, I don't think autism means anything at all, either.
Fair.
I just think that...
It definitely means something, but...
I don't know. Like, it's hard with him, because I think, like, a lot of what we see of him online is, like, not his genuine self.
No, I've met the man. He's exactly the same.
What about
there's
Asterios
nothing
Kokonos?
Different. Asterios is just
level 2. I'd say level 2.
Oh, his autism level?
Yeah.
I don't know. He might only be level 1. He has a very shallow interest.
Sure?
Like,
he was really into corn mazes. Well, that's a pretty autistic.
Is he into corn mazes?
Yeah, I remember.
No, he's the corn maze guy. On, is that because he's actually into corn mazes?
Yeah, he like was meeting fans and stuff at corn mazes and shit.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the thing about Asterios is that he has. Well, maybe he's level 2 posing as level 1. That's very possible.
Yeah, I think so. Because he has to use like more like mechanisms to kind of make himself seem like a level 1, but like his behavior is not a level 1 behavior.
Yeah, well, because the thing about Asterios is that he makes lots of like nerdy references to old nerdy shit, like 80s and 90s cartoons. But the references he makes are typically very shallow. But every once in a while, if he is pressed on something, he will give a much more detailed, like, nerdy answer about something, which implies concealing power level, which Dick Masterson also does. And Dick does it to such an extent that he will deliberately mispronounce things to make it sound like he doesn't know what they are. Like he'll deliberately like mispronounce the names of Pokemon and stuff, but then like as the conversation goes on, he clearly knows way more, which I think is common. I think lots of people fucking do that. I think the average level 1 autist does that to conceal their autism.
Before the internet,
so that nobody will call them an autism.
Communities where we could feel safe about liking things, where you kind of had to, if you didn't want to get made fun of, you had to make yourself distinct from the people who are getting made fun of.
I completely forgot that in Phantasy Star Universe, there's like
it's a
system of like leveling things up by doing it a lot, like a Skyrim-esque system or whatever. I've completely forgot about that.
That's pretty cool.
Also, I've learned from using it that Zonde just shoots out in front of you and is not a lightning bolt that falls from heaven. So there was never a hope of having an attack that would be better against this guy. Like, supposedly you're supposed to shoot him, but using the first-person view is fucking maddening. Zonde does a lot of damage, though. Sorry I'm talking about the game again. But yeah,
no, it's fine.
I mean, yeah, the hardest thing about, like, labeling someone's autism is definitely, like, what are they concealing? What is it actually like inside their brain? How much of this is, like, learned behavior of how to conceal yourself?
And as people get older, and, like, if somebody doesn't grow up thinking they're autistic, they're just going to try to, like, naturally correct those behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because, like, I so badly want to be a level 4 because then I really feel like, okay, well, my social ineptitude, I can excuse that.
I mean, level 3 is socially inept as fuck.
And it's a power level, you know?
Though,
it's, like, fun.
Yeah.
I want to be a level 4, but, like, I don't think I am. But I can get there.
I mean, look, I'll tell you.
I can get there. Like, I like that your list is, like, fluid. Like, you can go deeper.
Like, if you really wanted to cast doubt upon my list, here's the best way to do it. Consider the fact that I made myself 3.4. Now, if the scale goes from 0 to 7, what does it imply to be 3.4? It means you're exactly below halfway down the scale. And part of my basis for this whole idea of the numbers was the idea that I was halfway down the scale. That, like, my ability to understand and relate to people on all parts of the scale is why I can make the scale. Mm-hmm. Because people at level 1 won't understand the deep lore autistic people enough, but deep lore autistic people don't have the self-awareness to consider a level 1's perspective. So, like, it's my middle point position that like, so gives me the power to do this.
Anybody can make their own autism chart and have themselves be at 3.4.
I mean, theoretically, they could put themselves anywhere.
But they could actually be level 6 on your scale.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Like, I mean, I think my scale has, like, clearly defined levels in my mind. Like, I look at it as, like, this is exactly that much more autistic than the guy before it. It's like, a level 3 is as autistic as the level of autism a 2 and a 1 have combined, you know? Like, a level 7 has as much as a 3 and a 4 have combined. Like, that is the amount, like, you know, it's a literal level of autism, like an actual increasing point by point, and it's like ounces, you know, measuring it like ounces. You have, like, 6 ounces of autism, you know, out of a possible 7. Like, it's I mean, because it's like that, it would take... Obviously, we're not going to be able to judge anybody that rigidly, but, like, yeah, because it you know, there's way too much to take into account, and why bother? But, like,
I thought it was more of, like, a scale with the ends having, like, encompassing more attributes. Like, level 0 obviously is no autism present, right. But that could, you know, it could encapsulate a lot of different behaviors. Whereas level 6 is just, like, anything that's too far gone. But, like, at what point, like, can you go beyond level 6? Because, like, you can obviously...
level 7 is the highest level.
Okay, level 7 is the highest. So it's just, like, you know, I wasn't thinking about it on the scale of, like, oh, this is, like, one interval, I guess, of autism. I was thinking it, like, more of, like, a volume kind of thing.
Nah, in my mind it is it
has an exponential scale at the end of it.
In my mind, it's like an exact point by point. Like, this one is that much more than that.
Yeah,
one,
I mean,
know?
I guess that's kind of also where I have problems with your list because I don't think it's detailed enough where you can even make argument.
There's
like
no
that.
way to do that. Like, the list is supposed to be fun. It's not meant to be scientific in any way.
I fucking can't help myself but to think about it. Like, okay, well, what does it mean if you're, like, very not autistic? Are you just a level 0? Like, what if, like, if a level 1 is, like, noticeably autistic, like...
I hope you're aware that your problems with my list are very autistic problems.
Fuck you. I want to be a level 4 so bad.
It's so bad that you'll have problems with the list just hoping to make it to level 4
it's
by having those
fair.
issues.
All the cool people are at level 4. I don't want to be a level 3.
Nobody cool is level 4. What are you talking about?
All the cool people are level 4. You just don't know them. You don't talk to them.
I'm the coolest of them all. I'm 3.4.
It's true. You are the coolest.
So there you go. Model your life after me. Can't you just accept that I gave you more points than me? Isn't that good enough?
You better give me autism points.
There were a lot of comments that were like, "Oh, I gotta level up my autism. Like, oh, I'm trying to reach level 4, but it doesn't work that way.
No, it will.
It's a natural proclivity.
You just have to work.
You cannot increase or decrease your autism.
Grind. Yes, you can. If you spend every single day of this week playing Final Fantasy games and fucking, organizing.
No, you have to play Kingdom Hearts if you want to slide down the scale. Kingdom Hearts and Sonic.
Yeah, you gotta inject Sonic straight into your bloodstream. Go to your nearest Sega Saturn, take all the games you have for it, melt it into a thick paste, put it in a syringe, and inject it straight into your veins, baby. That's the only way to go level 7. Or, go get some immunizations. Go get some vaccines. You can boost your autism artificially. That's what they do in Index.
That's true.
They do the drugs.
They do. They use drugs and diodes on their brain to artificially boost
we can
their
do this.
Psychic
Level
abilities.
3's rise up.
Rise up. Take over. But yeah, I mean, I'm willing to put you closer to level 4 than myself.
Because I cry if you don't.
Well, also because, I mean, it's just that you and I have almost the exact same taste. And, if I were to consider you level 4, you're not, more into any of the level 4 media than I am. By more than, a slight margin.
Every day. All
Precure's
day.
not
I
super
follow
autistic.
Several Precure art vlogs on Twitter.
I think you can easily be level 3 and be that into Precure.
Oh,
it's really a matter of I mean, I like Precure a lot, and if I felt more aesthetic connection to it, I would do what you're doing. If you realized all the
hoops you had to jump through to get this stunt accomplished, while fucking trying to get your old Kindle Fire to properly display anime with subtitles. Having to get all the proper software, having to fucking go onto the fucking dark web to find fucking torrent links to fucking shit.
Remember how long it took us to find fucking Fushigi Boshi no Futago Hime episode 1?
It's true. It's true.
Fucking... The fact I even know about that show is level 3 autism.
I'm feeling in the mood to, go to every single CVS near us and just get flu vaccines all day. When I come back home.
Trying to get to level 4.
Document it.
Oh my god.
It'll be the first episode of Life Hacking.
Yeah, my body is a life hack.
Trying to raise my autism level with vaccine.
That is so fucking funny.
Live on fucking...
I'm just thinking about that Jim Jeffries joke where, he gives his baby, all of the immunizations at once because his girlfriend didn't want the baby to have vaccines because she thought it would cause autism, and he was so he sneaks off to the doctor and has him do them all at once, and the doctor's like, well, I don't recommend doing all of them at once, and then the baby's all fucked up, and he's like, oh my god, I've ruined my baby, I gave him autism, and he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, I told you not to give him all this stuff at once, he's just knocked out. You, on the other hand, are exhibiting all of the signs of autism, and diagnosis him on the spot. It's good stuff. Jim Jeffries is a funny guy.
He is autistic. What level would you put him on?
I don't know. I don't know enough. I mean, it's impossible to judge a comedian's autism level because you don't know what they're...
every comedian is autistic.
Probably at least a level 1.
I don't believe that they're not.
I mean, I would think anybody in entertainment at all is probably at least a little bit, little touched. But, I mean, there's also more mental conditions than just autism. It's not as though
that's the root of everything.
Everything that makes you weird is not all tied to autism.
God. It would just be so easy, though, if there was just one thing.
Yeah.
It was just oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm somebody who is very tempted to boil it all down to that.
Don't worry about it. The reason I don't fit in has nothing to do with the fact that I haven't tried to, or that I'm a pussy,
but I think
or that I fucking am just a shit person.
I think about how there's...
Don't worry.
Think about, all the women that you've met who...
What? Me?
Think about all the women who you've met who,
my mom, my sister.
Who don't exhibit any signs of autism, but still be crazy. Who, maybe show strong signs of, ODD
all women are
or
NPCs. Don't
bipolar disorder, but not autism,
They're all NPCs. Only the men are autistic, and I just am the only one.
What?
Me and Greta Thunberg. We're the only ones. We're the last man standing.
The last man standing?
Yeah. It's gonna be me and her, a fight to the death.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you dress up in a costume of me and imply that you would suck cock for climate? That's more than I've ever done for climate.
Yep. A big ball play.
They're just jealous that you care more about climate than they do. That's the real reason.
Oh yeah, they're jealous. They didn't have that idea.
Yeah, they're like, fuck.
They fucking went as a sexy cat again for the third year in a row.
How could you possibly virtue signal harder than insisting you would perform sexual favors for climate?
No, you can't. And the fact that there's actual protesters who do that,
yeah.
You know, it's Kino. It's Kino's journey. I disavow everything I said in this video.
That's the safe route right there. Hardcore disavow.
I disavow you, I disavow you, I disavow you. Now I'm divorced.
I've never disavowed anything I've said. I don't think. Except for my opinion about Ghost in the Shell from when I was like young. But if you like change your mind about something and express the opposite opinion, is that the same thing as disavowing a previous?
Disavowing is like avoiding what I said before. It has no grounding.
But I mean, wouldn't it imply that you now felt the opposite?
I mean,
like, isn't that part of the implication?
So when you say you've changed your mind and you've come to rational and logical conclusions, you had to originally had a position that was the opposite.
Right.
Your mind had to be changed. Disavowing is saying you're writing off the fact that you're changing your mind and what you had said at the beginning was false or wrong or a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you disavow something, it's like, okay, well, don't take this seriously ever because I wasn't in the right frame of mind, or like this was taken completely out of context and does not represent me. Saying I changed my mind is like, at one point in time I did say this, but I have changed my mind.
So you're saying that to disavow it is to imply that you never really believed it in the first place.
Yeah,
you just like
I'm
misspoke
just a fucking character actor.
You know, did something wrong.
I am actually a great, upstanding citizen, and everything I say is right.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you are judging me hardcore right now. That's what I mean. You know?
Yeah. So I don't disavow my previous statements about Ghost on the Shell because I did think that at the time, but I have changed my mind. So it's not, I don't believe those things I said before, but that doesn't mean I disavow the fact that I had said them at all.
I disavow everything I've said ever.
Well, fair enough.
Don't take anything I say seriously.
You shouldn't take anything anybody says seriously. I hate that shit. I hate when people fucking...
It's all a mistake. My existence is a mistake. I should have been wiped out by the TreeNet episode of 1999.
Look, there's something that Dick Masterson used to always say on the old Biggest Problem in the Universe show, where he would always say that like he's not interested in stats. He just wants to know why you think what you think. And like, I feel very similarly. Like, I'm not as interested in like divining truth and having the correct opinion. I'm more interested in like just pooling data and saying as many ideas as possible. Like, just presenting as many possibilities, regardless of whether they're true, and then identifying whether or not they are true, you know, like in the long run. But like, it's not about being like correct to begin with. It's about, you know, expressing as many ideas as have come into your head on the chance that some of them could be true, and then like sorting through it afterwards.
Especially if you're an entertainer.
Right.
Like, it shouldn't be about saying the right and correct thing all the time.
Yeah, like, I'm not writing for a fucking scientific journal. I'm not trying to be persistently
if that's what you want to get out of content, there's things that can provide that to you when you are seeking entertainment, especially comedy. There's, like, a human element to that, which is faulty, you know?
Okay, well, as usual, this episode's going to end on us having to fucking beat that incredibly pain-in-the-ass boss.
It ends perfectly. A nice little bow.
I'm going to try to avoid any mission. Like, there's, like, several planets that have missions that end in that boss, and I was trying to avoid it by coming here, and I ended up finding him again. Whatever. All right, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.